So here it is. Here it is. The obvious first comment as to why I bought it is the colour. I think that these things, they had a range of colours from those horrific golds that everybody had. White's always great, but I don't think anything's as good as black, and very hard to find a black SL in unmolested condition, and certainly this one has got some wear and tear and some scars of life, but not many. In fairness, I think it's very original and very clean. I think there's some parking type. You know, you can tell that the paint's not as good as it should be in some areas, but by and large, devoid of parking bumps. And there's one up here on the bonnet. You can see just there. But apart from that, there's very little on the body that needs any attention. There is a bit of a mark in here. You can see that there's a mark just there, but bits and pieces only, and otherwise fairly original, other than these proximity measures, the parking sensors, which are fairly terrible. And there's an item over there on the dashboard you might not be able to see, but that is for that aftermarket system. But otherwise, you can see the interior here is really unmarked, and there you go. The seats work, and the door panels are good, although could do with a bit of a clean. But dashboard is unmarked, and so it's a pretty clean example, this one, and that's what I like, because it's very hard to fix interior and exterior, if you ask me, but relatively easy to fix the mechanicals, which this car certainly is suffering from. Some mechanical issues. So what are they? I like the way the window goes up and down there correctly. So you can see here that it looks a bit like a tractor, a four-wheel drive tractor. The self-leveling suspension system, I think it was called ABC on later models and ADS on these models, which someone will know what it stands for. You can see it's stuck on a high mode. The car looks like it's going uphill, doesn't it? And so there's clearly a problem with that, although noticeably not leaking any oil or anything of that nature. And so that's going in the shop this afternoon, and they'll have a look at that and try and work out what's happening with that. And certainly the brakes as well, the brake lights. Brakes are fairly spongy, and the brake light comes on from time to time. But the biggest issue is actually the noise, the tappets, which is a common problem in these things. That seems that I think people put the wrong oil in them, or simply just don't use them enough, or use them for short trips. And the oil tubes that feed oil to the top of that head, or top of the heads I should say, actually get clogged or break down, and the result is that you get this horrible tappety noise, a click click at the top of the engine. Thankfully for this one, it happens only when it's cold, and so that maybe indicates that indeed it's something that can be repaired relatively easily. But again, going into the shop this afternoon, we'll find out just how fixable or otherwise that is. And so version 2 of this video will sort of update you on what I bought, how we're going to be able to address some of these issues, most notably the suspension and the tappety noise. Otherwise, the wheels, I've got to say, you would probably prefer some AMGs, but there's something classically beautiful about these old eight-hole wheels from the period, and I think particularly in the black it looks lovely. So yes, so pleased with this at this stage. May not be as pleased when I get a call back from the service centre in terms of how much work is involved in fixing the bits and pieces that we need to clean it up. I'll get back to everybody with an update as that comes to hand.